Welcome everybody to another episode of the Talking with Heroes talk show program. I am Bob Calvert, the founder and host, talkingwithheroes.com. Thank you for your service.us behind the camera. And I want to introduce everybody to the co-founders of vettrip.org, Dottie Goodsun and Bob Deschner. So if you could start, just tell a little about each of you about yourself and what led you to start VetTrip, and then tell people about VetTrip.
Why don't you go ahead, Dottie?
I was led to this because I have had a father with post-traumatic stress from combat in Germany, World War II, and he became a concentration camp liberator. He handled his post-traumatic stress fairly well, but it definitely took a toll on him. He was emotionally unavailable, and I didn't understand it until many years later after he had passed, when I started reading about post-traumatic stress. And it just one thing happened after another, and we just ended up with VetTrip, which is Veterans Team Recovery Integrative Immersion Process, where we integrate a number of modalities, acupuncture, chiropractic, massage, energy balancing. We teach them a number of things they can do for themselves to handle pain and stress, and we've had wonderful success, and we're motivated daily by the stories that the veterans tell us about their recovery.
So my background was, I have a father who was a Navy corpsman in World War II at the end of the war. He worked with a lot of veterans with amputations and paralysis in their back and neck. And so I grew up with those stories. I have three uncles, all that served, 2 in the Marines, 1 with the Texas Guard, and I have a first cousin who's serving right now. So we've always been very supportive, and we were always looking for ways that we could help. And we started out working with people with high pain, and we found out some of the some of the techniques we developed to working with high pain symptoms worked really well for relaxation and helping with the stress. So back in 2009, Dottie and I went to Austin with the Austin Veterans and Family Advocacy Council at the outpatient clinic there, and we started the idea that we could do some of the same things they were doing at Fort Bliss and Fort Hood in the PTSD treatment programs there. So we did it in one day initially with everything. We did exercise, education, training, and then this 2-hour immersion session. And we did 4 sessions up there in 2009. It took us quite a few years to get it started here in San Antonio where we live. So in 2012 we started here at Kelly Base in the old Kelly Chapel building, believe it or not. And so we broke out the integrative immersion process, the 2-hour immersion, from the other part, the training and the other techniques. And that's what we've been doing now since 2012, January 2012. We've worked with over 2,000 veterans, the spouses, service members and spouses, and we've done over 6,000 sessions for them in that period of time. Most of the people, at least the first 3 years, all the people were volunteers. So we had a very, very small budget, and we were doing 5, 6, 12 times in services what we had in budget. We got a TVC grant, Texas Veterans Commission grant, in 2015, 2016. We were able to pay some of the staff, and we were able to double our capacity. So we got our wait list way down to a couple of weeks, which was about what's manageable. People call in and get scheduled. Since that time, the demand has overwhelmed us again. We're back up a wait list over 90 days. And since most of our veterans, it's normally veterans now instead of active duty because the war efforts turned down quite a bit. But veterans and their spouses, 85% of them are referred by staff at the VA, outpatient clinics, the main hospital, polytrauma. They are still referred from BAMC and SAMC, the 2 DOD facilities here, as well as the vet centers. And because they're referred, they're usually the patients with the worst symptoms, the most intense symptoms of stress and or chronic pain.
Okay, now today I appreciate you letting me actually participate.
So how'd you like it?
It was interesting. I mean, I noticed that I wasn't feeling the pain I usually feel on my foot and my leg.
Good.
Of course, walking tends to bring it back, but it was really nice to feel that, of the absence. And yeah, it was very interesting. And why don't you go through the session? It's a 2-hour session. You had a lot of veterans in here today. but you also had service providers helping and doing different parts of it. So go through the scenario of each session or each technique you're using.
We start with the energy balancing, which are Reiki or Qigong techniques, all designed to help the veterans relax the muscles, the fascia, kind of loosen them up a little bit. The massage therapists step in after that and do fairly gentle but very effective type of massage. And then we follow that with gentle chiropractic adjustments. We don't turn people into pretzels and do the big pop, snap stuff. And they're very appreciative of that. We have very talented chiropractors that can make adjustments to the spine in a relatively gentle way. And then the acupuncturists come in, and we have a lot of veterans that actually go to sleep with the needles in. I know that sounds funny, but the number one reason people go to acupuncturists is for pain relief, and by the time we have the acupuncturist step in, the veterans are so relaxed that many of them go to sleep. And then they're escorted down to the outtake room where we have some veterans sitting there waiting for them with big smiles on their faces. These are people that have been through our program and they've come back to volunteer, to give back. So they step them through the ending paperwork, and they have a great time just talking together. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I jumped into the actual session, but before that they meet with me for the intake, and there we do some paperwork, but I also do some things for relaxation with them before they get on the massage tables, and that includes some aromatherapy. We have lavender essential oils, orange, and rosemary eucalyptus for those that are having some trouble breathing. We do some gentle exercises like stretching, just sitting in a circle or trying to loosen up the tight muscles. And then I teach the EFT, the emotional freedom technique, which is tapping on your own acupuncture points so that they have that skill to rely on when they're not here, whenever they feel the stress symptoms come up. So it's a complete package, and they get 3 to 6 of these sessions. It's not an overnight success for most people, so they need to come back once a week or every 2 weeks for about 6 sessions. Some of those with the most intense symptoms can come back more than that, but generally it's 3 to 6. And we start them in a stage 2 program where we show them that energy techniques can do wonders for relaxation. You don't have to have massage and acupuncture and chiropractic at that point. And we have Qigong classes, relaxing breathing classes. We serve them lunch and have healthy food and give them information about nutrition and good healthy foods, calming nutrition. We're hoping to get funding at some point for what we'll call stage 3, which will be weekly yoga classes or Tai Chi classes, meditation, mindfulness. There's so many things they could do on a weekly basis, which would be great to come together with other veterans. There's great camaraderie there. And keep them moving, keep them flexible, keep them motivated to stay on a healing path, a journey where they're actively participating in their own healing.
We've already kind of prototyped the class, and we had a Tai Chi class over at the Vet Center here in San Antonio. And it was real interesting. By the 3rd class, the psychologist that was doing a group session down the hall came in and looked around and left. And I asked her what she thought of that. She said, well, I came down there because the veterans in my group session were asking why all those veterans were laughing at the end of the hall. And they were so relaxed, they were laughing, they were telling jokes, and they were veteran jokes, so they were not politically correct. But she said, we don't hear laughter around here that much. And the fact that they were relaxed and they had camaraderie and they were doing some exercise with Tai Chi, it made a really big impact. And they stayed with the program all through the 8 sessions. And we just need to have the funding to integrate that in and have that social aspect. We put this together because we had experts showing us what to do. We had John Fortunato at Fort Bliss. We had Jerry Wesh, who ran the program, a Warrior Combat Stress Reset program at Fort Hood. And so we already had an idea of the goals of what we could do to make it work. But over the last 5 years, we've been able to observe different things and integrate it into the system. And we've added research as quickly as we could as it came out and tried it and see if it worked. And if it did, we'd integrate it into the system. So the program we have it going now is a package. It's a model program that can be duplicated. And we knew that was critical early on. You couldn't just have a program with some leaders getting together and some volunteers, because it would kind of run down over the years. Usually the burnout rate for volunteers is about 18 to 24 months. So by literally helping the volunteers help themselves and then keeping them trained at the forefront of technology, it was a tremendous draw to bring people in as volunteers and later as part-time staff. But we have a package we've duplicated in 3 locations here in San Antonio, one in a small church in New Braunfels, and last year with virtually no funding, we launched the program in Houston. And a lady over there just took it and ran with it. So we have a program that can be duplicated. We need locations, and right now we have plenty of locations that want us there. We don't have funding to do. We need veterans, and right now I don't think we'll ever run out of veterans, because in 10, 20 years, the ones that have delayed onset PTSD will be there. We need to have service providers, and here in Texas, it's incredible how they support the veteran population, and people want to volunteer and they want to be there to help out. And we need funding. And right now, funding is keeping us from doubling our program and getting rid of that wait list. There's every reason we should be able to handle that with just a little bit additional funding. So we've been writing a lot of grants, and we're getting a lot of new people come forward and say, I want to help, I want to support this. And that's where we're at right now.
Well, talking to the people that came here, veterans, I heard some saying, well, this is my pain level when I got here, like you took my pain level, and then when we were finished, and they were saying, this is my pain level now, and it was a big difference. Is that common to have that?
We have people regularly come in at 8, 9, and 10 on pain and stress, because the staff that refer them are giving us their worst cases because they know there's a wait list. And it's not unusual to have them leave at 2 or less. And if we can get them down below 2, they have this state of profound relaxation where the endorphins are released in their brain, and they actually are self-medicated with these endorphins in the brain, and then it usually drops to 0. Those that smoke, it takes a little bit more. It takes several sessions to start flushing that out. But it's not unusual to have them below 2 or even 0 on the way out, even if they came in at 8, 9, and 10. So like Dottie said, it's not everybody,
right,
but we have a large majority that come off the table and are just stunned at how much reduction they have. The other observation we had early on was that the stress levels come down to the organic pain levels. Whatever the pain level is, if it's at 4, 5, or 6, at the end, their stress will still be at 4 or 5. If we can get them down to 0 on pain, the stress disappears. And so that was a really profound observation that we did and came out of statistics. So we have data on over these 6,000 sessions that we're going to be putting together and publishing, and hopefully to support other programs that want to use this type of approach.
Okay.
And some of them come in with high pain and drop maybe 1 or 2 points, not a lot, but they're still stunned at how much better they feel at just a small reduction in pain. And they're intrigued, and their stress levels do go down a little bit, and we don't have to twist their arms to get them back. They're ready to come back for that series, and we see the progress. The first time they're kind of uptight. A lot of them they don't show that they're uptight, but they're really kind of guarded, and they're just trying to figure everything out. It's very threatening to some of them to come into a program where you go face down on a massage table.
And have strangers touch you.
Who's going to have your back? Who's watching
Yeah.
for you? Who are these people? What are they going to do next? But the second time is much easier, and that's when they start relaxing and they see that the pain and the stress can go down even more. And so the very toughest cases can make a lot of progress through those 6 sessions.
The other thing I'll point out is that we could not exist without the VA doing their job. We can't take people off the street. We can't take serious mental illness. We do not do counseling. We don't do assessments. We don't do medications. We rely on them to do the heavy lifting. And so we have found out from our veterans reporting back that because we are there as a support for their pain and stress, if they're going through a tough counseling session, such as prolonged exposure therapy or cognitive processing therapy, which are the gold standard for counseling people with PTSD, especially military and veterans with PTSD, this helps them relax in between sessions. And as tough as those sessions can be, there's a very high dropout rate, but this improves the engagement and helps them stick in the program. And they always get better results if they just stick with the program. So we found that at Fort Hood, or they found at Fort Hood, their dropout rate was 10 out of 1,400 soldiers. Only 10 out of 1,400 soldiers dropped out of that program. And when you do a normal prolonged exposure therapy session of 12 to 14 sessions once a week for 12 weeks, or if you're doing cognitive processing therapy, even if you do a 2 a week for 6 weeks, the dropout rate can be as high as 50%. So they get good results with those that stay in the program, tremendous results, and they're very, very effective in that regard. But by keeping them in the program, by doing the Reiki and massage and the chiropractic, you get their stress levels down and get their pain levels down in between. The veterans are telling us they're sticking with it, and because of that, they're getting better results. So we think that that's a really neat achievement and observation that we've been able to make. And we think that that's why the staff at the VA and the other facilities are referring patients. They see how it works well with what they're doing. Another important aspect is that all the facilities are trying to reduce opiate prescriptions. Opiates are tied to a lot of deaths. They're obviously very addictive. And we have people coming in at 8, 9, and 10 on pain that are on very high levels of narcotics and opiates. And so they're not really working, but they're addicted, so they have to withdraw. And where we've worked in conjunction with the staff, we know that they're withdrawing them off the opiates. We can give them acupuncture, massage, energy work, chiropractic. All those things tend to reduce the pain levels that you saw today. Mm-hmm. And so it reduces some of the trauma of being withdrawing from the opiates. So we think that's another important factor. So coordinating our services with what they're already providing at existing facilities and existing programs, we think enhances the outcomes. And we hope to have the data put together for a publication for that. But anecdotally, the veterans tell us it's really, really powerful.
Right. Well, I heard them talking about that in here.
Yeah.
After they were finished, came out of it. Okay, just one more thing. VetTrip is a member of r4alliance.org.
Right.
Tell me why and how is that helping?
We're an associate member because we don't do recreational therapy like
Right.
the other organizations. But we think that if people are more relaxed and don't hurt, more relaxation, more comfort, and better sleep improves everything. And so those that want to get out and do things and the pain's stopping them, or maybe the PTSD is stopping them, they don't want to socialize, they don't want to get in a strange environment, we think that we help all those programs, and that's why they accept us in the R4 Alliance. Mm-hmm. So this opportunity for you to share our story with the other members, I think, is going to be very powerful. We think that it helps jobs. We think it helps marital relationships and social relationships. We think that it helps education. All aspects of their lives are improved with relaxation, more comfort, and better sleep. And that's what we do here at VetTrip.
Right. Now, I've noticed the members I've interviewed, 60, 70 of them, a lot of talk about collaborating.
Yeah.
And because veterans, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They're built, it's a team. So, and I'm seeing that in all these different organizations. Are you seeing that too? Like you talked to Angela with Comfort Crew.
Yeah, Comfort Crew is doing some fabulous work with the kids of the families of the deployed, and when they come back in transition, they're trying to figure out what's going on with their parents that have been deployed. We think that if we could show the parents and the children, the parents and the veteran and their spouse, who can then show their children how to use some of these tapping techniques for relaxation. Obviously, we have some outside emergency response folks.
Yep.
I'm going to repeat again. So Angela at Comfort Crew is doing a fantastic job providing these comfort kits for children of deployed and those in transition when they come back. They don't know what's going on with their folks. That's an incredible program. They've given over a couple 100,000 kits out to these families, and the demand is there. But if we think we could add with that kit maybe some ideas about tapping, or the VetTrip parade rest technique for low back problems, or the salute to calm down the stress levels, what we're finding with our veterans is they show their spouses and their family members, and then they work with each other to get benefits, and that bonds them even better. So we think there's a natural fit with groups like Comfort Crew, like the recreational therapy, like the ones that are promoting jobs and education and other aspects. Everything gets better with more relaxation, more comfort, and better sleep. It's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. So for the military families, the veterans and families watching this right now, what would they do to find out more and be able to become part of this program?
The simplest thing to do is go to our website, vettrip.org. That's 2 T's and 2 I's in vettrip.org. On the top of the home page, you can see there's some links to some videos of some veterans interviews. They give an idea of the kind of results that veterans have gotten with really serious, intense symptoms. We hope to have expanded information there on what else they can do. We're still at that point where we're growing and we have to do that. But if they say, I want information about us, then they can send us an email, and that comes to me, and then I send it to Dottie or Jules to schedule it. If they're local, or if they're within a couple of hours drive from here, we have people drive down from Killeen and Karnes City, and even from Houston and further away. So we work hard to get those people in and coordinate when they can come in, of course, with a wait list. We want to give those with the most intense symptoms a priority, especially combat veterans for that. But we hope to be able to grow this. So right now what we need is funding to grow and interest so they can get educated and start using the techniques in their local area, maybe with their family and their friends. And as they grow in confidence with how these things work, we're going to be doing trainings. We do trainings about 3 times a year for service providers. That is the massage therapists, energy workers, chiropractors, and acupuncturists. And that's our pool of people that we then use to staff the programs. So that's how it starts.
Great. Before we close, would you like to give a shout out to the men and women who are still serving, maybe around the world?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Our heart goes out. We did not serve. This is how we serve. But we welcome you home. We thank you for the sacrifices of you and your families. We consider the families veterans too, because they go through the war and the experience that their veteran spouse does. And we lump them all together and call them veterans, and we embrace them all, and we want the best for them because they are what made this nation great and what continues to make this great nation be protected around the world. So thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Nobody can say that enough, and from a deep place in the heart like we can. So, you know, you've done a lot for us, and we appreciate it, and we need these services more places so we can take care of more of those people coming back, and whether they're going into a veteran status or not, they deserve this.
Great. Well, it's great meeting you finally. We've been talking
Absolutely.
for a long time to the internet and the phone. Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you, letting me experience this myself and being able to be here. So I look forward to doing this again.
Absolutely, Bob.
Okay. Well, folks, please share the video. If you know any military families, veterans families, please share this with them so they can have an opportunity to watch and become a part of this themselves and benefit. So we'll be back more with another episode of Talking with Heroes soon. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you.